you for inviting me to the Bumper Show.
You are highly welcome.
It,
And
it is an honor
mhm,
to be here on the Bumper Show to share my thoughts with your listeners.
and it's important. And let me also say thanks for taking up your time to be here with us to talk. This is, trust me, a national issue. But I want to. You know what's been happening. You've been listening. Just recently, you were on some top knowledge platforms. Sharing your thoughts on what has been happening. But I want to give you the opportunity to choose where you want to start this discussion from.
Okay, you talk about motorcycle, motorbike, and trekker, but this compulsory insurance thing is not restricted to them,
Hmm.
but because of the enforcement, and they are in the limelight.
Okay.
So basically, they've been complaining that they can't afford, the premium for insurance, so on and so forth. Well, my discussion is going to be on what is compulsory liability insurance. What is this thing all about?
Okay, and this is something they require to get
By definition, they fall under the category of automobile, motor,
automobile. Yeah.
because they are on public streets. They have two wheels, three wheels, four wheels, six wheels, so and they are motorized.
Okay.
So they fall under the definition of what is a motor.
Okay.
So they fall in that category.
Okay.
So they are required to buy compulsory automobile insurance. Now, what is this compulsory automobile insurance? Because I'm not trying to condescend, but because I'm talking to everybody out there,
Okay.
the regular Joe Blow, the regular guy. So I'll try to not use too much of insurance lingo or legal lingo.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
trying
that
to
they
make
don't
it,
get lost.
I'm not trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Mm.
Um, the compulsory motor vehicle is of public policy too, because the government has responsibility to make sure that people applying the streets, the citizens, are safe, secure from harm. And if anybody does harm that causes bodily injury or property damage to the neighbor or pedestrian or another user of the road,
Mm.
they should have some responsibility. So this law is called social responsibility, you can call it. You can call it financial security law, and you can call it, again, compulsory mandatory third party liability law.
Okay.
So this law is saying,
So it's not something that the police just try to put on them. This is law.
no, is the law.
Okay.
And you can find that in LCL 38.
Okay.
Okay, later on I will give you the specific chapter
Okay.
as to where you can find this law. So it's the law of the land. It's codified in our system. So what the law says to do is to say, look, insurance is not only there to protect the owner of the vehicle or the operator of the vehicle. So people think insurance is to protect people who are driving and people who own vehicle only. No, but that's not the case. It's also intended for victims. So instead of financial responsibility and corporate compulsory motor insurance, is also called victim compensation.
Okay.
So by victim compensation, we mean there's a driver going out there on public streets and he is involved in an accident and he or she is liable. And there's another car involved that it hit, and then the police come and say, you are responsible for this accident. So what the liability insurance comes in to do is to pay for bodily injury, property damage that has been caused by your negligent driving,
Okay.
and it could also be intentional. Okay, later on we'll discuss the intentional part because intentional acts and willful acts, usually insurance company have them as an exclusion, saying if your act is intentional, we're not going to cover. But again, let us keep focused. What is the purpose?
Mm.
It's a public policy tool and it's for victim compensation. So you can't say because somebody act was intentional or wanton, therefore they will not have responsibility for injury they've caused to a third party or damage they've done to somebody else's property. Okay, so the law is saying we will not excuse you and put the blame on the insurance company, or we excuse you or deal with you later, and insurance company will not be free of the liability by saying, "Oh, it was an intentional act." So this law, unlike other laws, is saying whether the act is intentional or not intentional on a third-party auto liability, the company that is insuring the motorbike or the tricycle or the vehicle will take responsibility under third-party liability. And in Liberia, the limits of liability, by limits of liability, we mean how much is the insurance company liable for. Okay. And then you have three sections. You have 10,000, meaning up to 10,000.
Anthony, I just want you to first of all maybe remind us what the vehicle owner will pay as a premium or fee for this insurance. First of all, what does the law have for that? Then before you can come to how much the insurance company be responsible.
You see, again, it's a function of the use of the car.
Okay.
So you have commercial cars. And then it's a function of the tonnage of the car. How heavy is the car? Is it six-wheeler? Is it eight-wheeler?
Or
is it 12-wheeler? Or is it a motorbike? Or is it keke? So I don't have the premium, all the categories of premium in my head.
Is it different from one insurance company to another?
No. It's not.
Okay.
I will use the terminology, and the terminology that is used in our side of the business is tariffed.
Okay.
So by tariff, it means that government gives the rates, and government says, insurance company, here are the rates, and these are the rates you have to go by. But from time to time, if the insurance company or the association of insurers believe that the tariff is insufficient for the limits of liability, they can always go to central bank or the Ministry of Transport and ask for modification. But for now, the law is when you hit somebody, damage a property. Let me describe what third party is. In an insurance contract, there are two parties. The first party is the person that bought the insurance from the insurance company.
Okay.
The second party is the insurance company itself. So you have the insured as the first party, and you have the insurance company as the second party. Okay. So the meaning third party means that you are outside, you are not privy to the contract, but you're only coming in because the insured, who is the first party, caused damage to you, your person, or your property. Okay. So that's why that person is referred to as third party. Okay. But then the law goes further. The law also says, if you are a fare paying passenger in a commercial vehicle, the law also covers passengers. I'm not saying private car. For hire.
Okay.
You pay, you get
riding on a motorbike or on a
keke, or riding in a taxi, or you're riding on a commercial bus, and you're a passenger. Okay, the law says you as a passenger, you are also covered under this law. And it goes
you consider to as a third party.
That is correct.
Okay.
For purpose of the compulsory liability law.
Okay.
For purpose of the Liberian third party liability law. Okay. So let me see what the coverage is. In an event where you hit somebody, you hurt the person, or you kill that person, the law says that person has to be compensated with a limit of liability up to $10,000. And United States dollars. I'm very intentional about up to $10,000 because there are various severity in an injury. Okay? So you can be involved in an accident, you can have a scratch. Does it mean that the company will pay you $10,000? No. But you have a situation where there is death, severity. Okay? Then you can claim the $10,000 or $5,000 or $4,000. There is different way of doing valuation on what the value of a human being is. But no human being has a value. But for purposes of paying damages, we have to develop a way to measure how somebody can be, evaluated. Okay. So there's a question. Are you a professional? Do you have a job? Do you have a family? How much do you earn? Okay. So all those things will come into.
So you will consider all of that before you can, reach maybe the 10,000 or less.
Well, the 10,000, that's the extreme side. In the event of death, human beings, they have families, they may have children, they may have wife, they may not be educated or they may not be professionals. But again, depending on the situation, per person, you have up to 10,000 to claim.
Okay.
Up to. So I'm very intentional again of saying up to. It doesn't mean every scratch, every accident, you are entitled to 10,000.
Mm.
Then that is per accident.
Okay.
If there's an accident where there are multiple people involved, more than one,
Mm.
okay, the law says you have to pay up to $20,000. So up to again doesn't mean three people involved with scratches, therefore give $20,000. It depends on the severity
Mm.
of the situation. And then your attorney or you and the insurance company can sit with the relatives and make a decision as to how much to pay.
Okay.
Okay. So again, there is $5,000 in the event where you damage somebody's property. So this liability, there's a split. There's a portion that deals with bodily injury, okay, and property damage.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mm.
that property damage could be on property owns that is owned by a municipality. Let's take for LEC pole,
Yeah.
the light post. Somebody goes and hit that light post. It's property damage. So it falls within that liability. So the negligent party will have to pay for that light post. And again, what the public needs to know, because my purpose here is to educate the public.
Of course.
That's the reason why I'm here as an insurance attorney, to make sure the public has information and to educate the public as to what their rights are.
Okay.
So you have 10, 25, $10,000 per person, 20,000 per accident, where there are multiple people involved,
Okay.
and then 5,000 if you damage somebody else's car.
Okay.
Okay, so that what it is. But in addition to that, you have what we call supplemental cost and duty to defend. In simple terms, you hit somebody and they take you to court. The insurance company has a duty to defend you. And that duty to defend is in addition to the limit I described. The limit I described was what? 10, 25. 10,000 bodily injury, one person, up to 20,000 multiple people involved, bodily injury, the guy hurt. And then if there's bodily injury that results to you being unable to care for your child, okay, the company has to pay for vital services for your child as a result of you being disabled and not being able to carry out your household duties because of the injury that will cause to you by the accident. So again, we say 10, 25. 5,000 is for property damage. In case you damage somebody's property, the policy is limited to paying you up to $5,000. But again, it doesn't say what that 1025 is the minimum standard that government has set. It doesn't mean companies cannot be liberal to offer more limits. And again, people have different capacities. Okay, you have people who have assets, you have people who are millionaires, you have people who are deep pocketed. So if the insurance company pays its minimum that government requires, it doesn't mean you cannot file a civil lawsuit for more money. You can do that. Okay, you can do that depending on the severity of the situation. So by duty to defend, it means that the insurance company on top of the 10, 25, each is 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a duty to defend. You have a duty to file bond. Okay, you have a duty to pay for an appeal bond, and the cost of the duty to defend, and the cost of the bond, and the cost for appeal bond. Okay, that cost is in addition to the 10,000, 20,000, 5,000.
And Anthony, yes, like you said, you are here to inform the public, and I'm sure mainly our people who are into this vehicular movement are the ones we are targeting mainly. But you spoke, and I want to concentrate a little bit on the guys on the back, the ones on the keke. Okay, vehicles as well. But take for example, I'm a motorbike operator. I have purchased my insurance, and I'm riding, and I had an accident. I had an accident that I didn't damage anybody's property, but then at the end of the day, maybe my back got damaged or my vehicle got damaged. I got injured. How is it now with the insurance company on that one?
Well, again, on that one, the law, plain language of the law, plain interpretation of the law. The law says passengers.
Okay.
A rider is not a passenger.
Okay.
Okay. By definition. Okay. So the scenario you gave us, there's a bike, there's a rider, and let's add another scenario. So let's add another aspect to what the scenario you gave. Let us assume there were two riders. Okay. For purposes, the plain language of the law says those riders, those passengers, if they are fare paying, okay, then they are victims if there's an accident.
Okay.
They need to be compensated.
So if you just like the scenario I gave also, if you just had an accident and you had a body injury or you damaged your motorcycle or your vehicle, then the insurance company has nothing to do with you?
That is correct. And that's where people come because of misunderstanding, because of lay people. Look, let me say this. The contract of insurance, even you have some attorneys who have practiced for the longest.
Okay.
They don't understand the language, okay? Because insurance is, I would describe as what we call is of esoteric significance. The regular guy doesn't have an understanding of it. So sometimes the insurance company has a valid reason, okay, to decline the claim. Like the scenario you gave. The guy said, I bought insurance, so my own motorbike got damaged, therefore pay. No, your own motorbike is now a third party. It's a first party. Because you own it. Okay. So you have first party, and you have second party, and you have third party. The first party is you. You own a motorcycle. Okay. Except you go and buy what we call collision and upset and other than collision. In Liberia,
that's another one all by itself.
Then it's a first party policy you are buying. Okay. When you buy collision, upset, and other than collision, it's a first party program you're buying. It means that if anything happens to your bike or your vehicle, then the insurance company comes in to take care of that.
Is it possible to get the first and the third at the same time?
Oh yeah. Again, a prudent insurer at this time, I'm not sure how many prudent insurers will want to give complete coverage to a bike rider, to the bike itself, the rider, so on and so forth. Because when it comes to bike, there's an element of frequency, meaning they have accidents very often. And then there's an element of severity. When they have accident, there's a very huge quantum as to how much the insurance company will pay. Okay, so now to add the motorcycle itself, again, nothing against, no bias against on motorcycle or motorcyclists or riders, but I'm going by statistic I see from the hospitals. Okay. If you go to the hospitals and find the statistics there, you will see more frequency from bike riders than the regular population. So no bias or prejudice against motorcyclists.
Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about this willful and this wanton acts of the operators. Is there something more you think we need to know about that? Because it's something about...
sure.
Yeah.
Let's take, for instance, the police guy is the enforcer. And the folks from the Ministry of Transport, they also help to enforce. And while in the process of enforcing, there's a car coming, and the enforcers are trying to stop this car. And these guys decide, we'll run through the policeman. Okay? They don't stop, but they run through the policeman. Such act is intentional, is wanton, and is willful. Ordinarily, under tort law and under regular insurance, acts and behaviors that are intentional are excluded from the policy. But in the beginning, I did say that this compulsory automobile insurance is a public policy tool, and is compensation, is victim compensation. Okay. So in that instance, who's the victim? It's the police guy. Okay. So do you go to the insurance company and say, oh, this guy ran into me? And the insurance company natural position would be, oh, it was intentional. We're not going to provide coverage for that. But then it defeats the purpose of this law. This law is for victim compensation. Why it will provide financial protection for you, but is for victims compensation. So
Okay.
in the scenario I gave you,
Mm.
the police guy is the victim.
Okay.
And in many instances, the third party is the victim. So you say, oh, this thing should be accidental. It's intentional. Therefore, it's not accidental. From the police guy's perspective,
Yeah, of course.
from the police guy who was injured perspective, it is accidental. Because it was fortuitous on his part. Did he expect a car to run into him? No. So again, there's a clash of public policy.
Mm.
Public policy is saying people should be responsible for their reckless behavior. The clash there is at the same time, public policy is saying, since this particular compulsory motto, okay, is for the victim's compensation, therefore, from the victim's perspective, okay, they are the victim. So there's a clash of public policy. But public policy, when you read public policies, what is the greater good of the society? The greater good of the society and the greater good of the policy is to make sure that the victim is compensated.
Mm.
Okay. And not giving the insurance company to use that excuse and say, hey, it was intentional.
And Anthony Balaze, I think there were many of, the guys coming from when they say that insurance companies take too long to, get to the matter. In fact, some of them, recently when this issue came up, some of them accused insurance companies in the country of not even getting a representative on the spot. Sometimes when they have, accident, they will call their insurers, and you don't find them even sending a representative on the scene to see what's happening. And, that's also discouraging them from, picking up the insurance policy.
Again, let me sound a caveat here. Every car in this country, motorized vehicle, that will ply the streets. The law says when you go to register, your insurance certificate must be accompanied by your registration process.
Okay.
And there's another thing to it. The law also says for folks who are in violation of the compulsory automobile insurance, when you're in violation, you can be fined up to $1,000, and you can have jail sentence up to a year. So again, this is something people don't know, okay? But that's the law.
Violation, I'm sure, is not meaning whether you were involved into an accident, but meaning that maybe you were riding without a license, insurance, and all of these.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's where the violation comes in.
Okay.
And if you violate the law, you have registration, but you do not have the compulsory insurance. The law says you could go to jail for up to a year. Okay, and you can pay a fine. Okay, the court can fine you up to $1,000, and this is something that the public doesn't know. That's why I'm saying this is an educational process. We'll need more time, so that I can give all the nuances.
Sure. We will have. We will make sure that we have more time for you. But let me just remind our listeners that they are listening to the Bumper Show here on Elbc Radio. We have Insurance Anthony Zay Balaze. He's here with us. This one is more educational, and I'm sure you're taking advantage of that. So you have questions, you can call us on 0777-835-862, 0777-835-862, and 086-61-65-80. 086-61-65-80. You can call those numbers. You will be live here on the program. 0777-835-862, 086-61-65-80, and you'll be talking to Anthony Balaze, who's in studio with us. You were on another platform and you said something that was news to me, but it was,
it was spawn.
Yeah. Yes. And you spoke about government vehicles not being insured. Is that what you said?
Yes. Well, again, I'm not saying government vehicles are not insured, because if we make arrangement for their own private insurance.
Okay.
But I'm making reference to the compulsory motor law.
The law.
The financial responsibility law.
Okay.
Government-owned vehicles, municipality-owned vehicles political subdivision vehicles that they own, they are exempt from the compulsory law. So they may have their own arrangement. I don't know, but I'm saying, just to be clear, that they are exempt from the compulsory motor insurance law.
If you don't want to have it, it's not compulsory.
Or the financial security law. They are exempt. That's what the law says.
Okay.
So they could make their own arrangement and buy their own insurance. And there are two ways to secure it. You can either go to an insurance company and buy your third-party insurance, or you can decide to go to a surety or a bond company and, let them issue you a bond.
Okay.
But the bond should be to the effect of the limits of liability, which is $10,000 per person, $20,000 per accident, and $5,000 property damage.
Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay. How you do?
Yeah.
Congratulations to your guests. I listened to him from start and still continuing. But what I want to know, what will happen if you're working with, for example, say you are a district agriculture officer and they give you a bike. Can it be insured?
No, it can be insured, but our context here is compulsory liability insurance.
Yeah, and that where you're talking about, I'm sure it's a government institution, and that institution is exempt. So, but like
I'm not saying you can insure it.
Yeah,
the organization can insure it, but I'm saying for purposes of the third-party liability, which is a compulsory liability, is exempt from that law. But they can make their own arrangement, or they can decide. We'll have a self-insured retention. We have enough resources. We are government. We are deep-pocketed. We don't have to buy insurance. When there's an accident, we can go in our pocket and take $20,000 and pay. Okay. Maybe that's the arrangement, but I don't know.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Okay, this is William. I'm calling from the Road.
You say your name again?
William Bond. I'm calling from the Road.
Okay, William, let's hear from you.
Okay, I want to know if you have a private motorbike, how much is the insurance?
Again, I don't represent insurance company. I'm a professor, educator. I'm here to give the public information. So I don't want to give you premium that will mislead you. So it's tariffed, government tariff it. So insurance companies don't have the ability to decide to increase it on their own.
Yeah, but Anthony, I'm sure you've been looking at the law. You like to help us with the tariff? What's the tariff?
Again, I can give an example for, let's say, a sedan.
Okay.
A sedan, the premium for a sedan may be about $175 for 12 months.
12 months.
12 months. Okay. So this is what is important. For that $175, the insurance company's exposure is in the aggregate $25,000, because if there's an accident with multiple people, you have to pay up to $20,000 if it reaches that limit, and then $5,000 for property damage. So let us look at the exchange. When we say it is expensive, let's look at the nature of the contract. It's an aleatory contract. It means that there's an unequal exchange. For $175, you have an exposure of $25,000. That is the insurance company. That is the worst thing happens. The insurance company is liable for $25,000. That is for a sedan. So let's think about it in that manner and respect.
077-835-862-086-6165-80. We don't have much time. You can put your calls in on those numbers, and you can rest assured we are going to get the Anthony in here again, because this is a pressing issue. This is a trending issue, ongoing topic. We will have him in here again soon to talk about it. But let's ask all of the questions we can ask right now. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, I'm Azib Bon calling from the Peace Island community.
All right, let's hear from you, sir.
Yeah, I'm a 37-year-old driver. What I'm experiencing from the traffic is the insurance. In most of the insurance companies are doing a dual act.
Meaning?
Meaning that they got, as I speak to you now, there are some insurance companies that got some other agents on the field that even giving some false document to people that is not in their system. And yes, and it is happening more taxi driver right now. I speak to you in the street has some false document that is not in the system. So what I mean, I want to know from your studio guest,
Yeah.
What can be done about those people?
He's already on it. He's already on it. Just
I'll
listen.
answer that.
Just listen.
I'm sure you know there's somewhere in on Gertie Street they call what is it?
World
called?
Trade Center.
World Trade Center. Have you heard about World Trade Center?
He's off the line already, but I'm sure
If you heard about World Trade Center is not an insurance company. If you decide to go and buy insurance from World Trade Center, then you are doing that at your own risk. You want, valid insurance, you walk to an insurance company and buy it. But this is what the World Trade Center folks are doing. They are only selling the certificate. They don't have an insurance company, and all that certificate does for you is to give you free passage from the police. But you do not have insurance. But you can have that free passage, you can show it to the police, you can put it on your windshield, okay? But when there's an accident, who do you go to? You bought that stuff from the World Trade Center, okay? So I'm not supporting, there are some bad fruits in the basket. There are some bad insurance companies. There are some insurance companies with bad agents, but I'm not going to sweep the industry with one broom. The incident he described, you have people who are engaged in fraud. Most of the time, those documents come from the World Trade Center.
Okay.
So it's not, you can't hold the insurance company responsible for that.
Hello.
Hello, is this Elbc?
You live on the bumper show. Let's say your name and make your point.
Yes, my name is Jarp Davies. I'm calling from Elbc Cocoa Farm.
Okay.
Yes, I want to ask a question. That is, if it happened that I insure my vehicle, it happened that I had an accident, and the insurance company got a call and you don't attend at all, how would it be like? Would the police park my vehicle, or would they try to follow up and get the insurance company?
Okay. All right. That's
So you have insurance, right? And then you are involved in an accident and you call the insurance company and they don't come on the spot, or they never show up at all. What's the situation? Did it take time for them to show up, or they didn't show up at all?
He said they didn't show up at all. So what do you know happens next?
Okay, you go to the police station. The police is going to get in contact with the insurance company. And of course, we have the Central Bank of Liberia. That's the regulatory arm of the insurance industry. You can file a complaint. Again, if this behavior is a regular behavior, it's a customary behavior of any insurance company, no, then you need to file a complaint against that insurance company at the regulator. And the regulator will intervene and make sure that insurance company desists from that kind of practice.
Okay.
So for the public, if you have serious issues with insurance company, they're not responsive, they're not paying your claims, and they're giving you go, come back, you have redress. Go to the central bank, there's a consumers department, and file a complaint against that insurance company.
Okay. Anthony, we are done with it today, and we will have you back here. But just anything you want to take a minute to close up with?
Oh, yes. Again, one thing, again, we talk about passengers, okay? And we talk about if you violate this law, you can be fined, and you can even go to jail up to 1 year, okay? Then for commercial vehicles, you have some of them that carry 2 passengers. You carry some of them that carry 7 passengers. You have some of them that carry 20 passengers. You have some of them that carry 30 passengers. The aggregate per accident, because we said 10 per person, 20 multiple people. So if somebody that carry 30 people, the aggregate, per accident where multiple people are involved, again, that aggregate cannot be 20,000. Okay? When you look at the law, there's a schedule between 7 and 10 passengers. Maybe it will say 30,000. Maybe 20 to 40 passengers. Maybe it will say 80,000. But the schedule is there. So the number of passengers is a function of what the aggregate limit of bodily injury liability is. Okay. So again, there's much to provide. There's much information to provide. The time was basically short. When I come, we'll continue, and I hope you have more opportunity to ask questions. It was my pleasure
thank you for listening. It's my pleasure being on the Bumper Show, and I look forward to coming back.
Okay, he's Insurance Anthony Balaze. He's been our guest on this edition of the program, and like you heard, and I'm assuring you, hopefully we will have him back here soon to talk about this, as this is a trendy issue. And on that note, that's how we end this edition of the program. Tomorrow we will be back here again with another edition. But till that time, let me say many thanks for being there. On behalf of the entire production team,